Hello to all of you. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. So, today I have a very important question that I would like to ask you because maybe some of you are asking the same question. The same question probably this man is asking. God who created you? God who created you? So that's the title of our discussion today. Who created God? Part 1. So this is just part 1 because I don't want to have a longer message. I would rather make it into two. Okay? So, God who created you, part 1. Okay? So I would like to say that or ask that as far as you are concerned, have you ever heard someone ask, if God created everything, then who created God? Now, in fact, I have a similar question when I was still young, before I became a Christian. I was very religious then and devout to what I believe, but I have this question when I was still young. I have this question. If everything has a beginning, then where did God came from? Or when did he begin to exist? Isn't it? It's like the same. If God created everything, then who created God? So at first, this may sound like a difficult question. Some people even believe this question disproves the existence of God. Okay? Some people believe that this question disproves the existence of God. So they may argue that if everything needs a creator, then God must also need or have a creator. You see? And if God had a creator, then perhaps that creator also needed a creator, and the process would continue forever. Okay? But the question who created God begins with a misunderstanding of what Christians believe about God. Okay? It rooted from there. So Christians actually do not believe that everything must have a creator. We believe that everything begins to exist and must have a cause. Okay? We believe that everything that begins to exist must have a cause. God, however, did not begin to exist. God is eternal. He has always existed and he will always exist. That is what we believe. God is not simply one more object inside the universe. He is not a powerful creature living somewhere beyond the clouds. See, he is the eternal creator who exists independently of the universe and is the source of all life, matter, energy, space, and time. So, who created God? No one created God. God has always existed. So, therefore, there are things that we need to really discuss. Okay? So, we need to know the difference between the creator and creation. Okay? So, to understand this question, we must recognize the difference between this creator and creation. The creator and the creation. So, here's the thing. Everything we observe in the universe appears to have a beginning. Like people are born. You see that? And trees grow from seeds. Buildings are constructed. Planets and stars form. Right? Objects came into existence through causes that existed before them. And the Bible begins by making an important distinction. The Bible begins by making an important distinction. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. It says, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth." In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Okay? Now, take note that the verse does not say that God began in the beginning. Okay? It says that God was already present in the beginning. So it means before the universe existed, God existed. Before the earth existed, God existed. You see that? And before the stars and the galaxies existed, God existed. You see that? And before time, we have understood it existed, God existed. God is before time. You see that? God is before time begins. God is already. Therefore, God did not come from the universe came from God. And creation depends on God, but God does not depend on creation. Okay? You see now the difference in there? So it means another way of saying, based on that discussion, God is eternal. And the Bible repeatedly teaches that God is eternal. And Psalm 90 verse 2, it says, "Before the mountains were born, or you give birth to the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are God." From ever to everlasting, everlasting to everlasting, you are God. So, in this verse, Psalm 90 verse 2 declares God's eternal existence and sovereignty. Okay? Written by Moses, this verse reminds us that God existed before creation. So before the mountains, symbol of permanence and strength, even came into existence, God already was. He did not have a beginning, nor will have an end. You see that? And the phrase "from everlasting to everlasting" emphasizes that God is eternal. Unlike human life, okay, which is temporary and fleeting, and God transcends time. You see that? He remains unchanged throughout all generations. So this verse also highlights God as the creator of the earth and everything in it. So therefore, since He created the world, He is greater than creation and is worthy of our trust and worship. You see that? So, God exists from everlasting to everlasting. And that's evident or apparent in the verse. So, there was never a time when God did not exist. There will never be a time when God stops existing. Okay, that's the truth of the matter. And Isaiah chapter 40 verse 28 says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not become weary or tired. His understanding is inscrutable." You see that? God is called the everlasting God. So it's clear in the verse. It's a good thing for us to see these verses. And then in Revelations chapter 21 verse 8, God says, "I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty." Okay? So what's Alpha and Omega? Alpha and Omega are the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. Okay? Meaning, God is the beginning and the end of everything. Who is and who was and who is to come means he has always existed. Okay? So it means God is greater than the beginning and the end. Okay? So who is, who was, and who is to come means he has always existed, rules now, and will come to complete his plan. Okay? Nothing outside this authority. You see that? So, God is not limited by time as we are. We experience life one moment after another. So, that's the truth. So, we remember yesterday, we live in the present, and we wait for tomorrow. Okay? So that's our normal routine. God, however, is eternal. He existed before the creation of time. Time is stepped in at the beginning when God created things. So that is important because asking what happened before God existed is like, asking what is north of the North Pole. Okay? Did you get that? So the question assumes something that is not true. What is north of the North Pole? You see that? So there was never a moment before God existed because time is not yet created during the time. You see that? So it's mysterious. It's hard to understand. That's why he is God. You see that? There was never a moment before God existed. God did not suddenly appear. He did not develop over time. And he did not come into existence through a natural process. Okay? He is simply there. Period. He is simply there. You see? And then we will come to his name because God's name reveals his eternal nature. You see, when Moses encountered God at the burning bush, God told Moses to return to Egypt and lead the Israelites out of slavery. So you remember the story, isn't it? And then Moses asked God what he should say if people ask for God's name. Isn't it? So you remember that Exodus 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now in fact in those chapter, and then that leads to chapter 3 where the burning bush experience took place. See that? So Moses asked God what he should say if people ask for God's name. Okay? And God answered, I am that I am. Exodus 3:14. So in Exodus 3:14, God reveals his personal name to Moses at the burning bush. The phrase, I am who I am, expresses God's self-existence, eternality, and unchanging nature. So unlike all created beings, God depends on no one for his existence. He simply is. So this name emphasizes that God is always present with his people and is completely faithful to his promises. And the one who called Moses to deliver Israel is the eternal, the all-powerful God who is sufficient for every situation. Okay? It's important. Then God said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am, hath sent me unto you. Okay? So the word I am. So the name I am is something that, that reveals that uh, God is powerful. There is something powerful about God. Okay? God is self-existent. And his existence does not depend on anyone or anything else. Because that's how we understand what is being communicated to us by uh, the Word of God. And that is what really is. So human beings can say, I am alive because my parents gave birth to me, right? A tree exists because a seed was planted. And a river exists because water flows from a source. And that's the logical thinking that we will be having. But God does not say, I am because someone made me. God says, I am, period. He is the one whose existence comes from himself. He does not receive life from another source. He is the source of life. See that? It's important. And then let's go to the verse. Acts 17:24 to 25. So both Old and New Testament. Acts 17:24 to 25 says, the God who made the world and everything that is in it, since he is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in the temples made by hands, nor is he served by human hands, as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all people life and breath and all things. You see that? So, Acts 17:24 to 25 teaches that God is the creator and sustainer of everything. So, because he made the world, he cannot be confined to temples or buildings made by people. So, God does not depend on human beings for anything, as though he needed our help. So, instead, we depend completely on him because he gives us life, breath, and everything we have. And Paul's main point is that the true God is not like an idol that humans, create and care for. So he is sovereign, self-sufficient, and worthy of our worship. You see that? So God does not need anything in order to exist. Instead, he gives existence to everything else. And that's clear in the verse. You see that? So, another question is that, does everything need a cause? Does everything need a cause? People sometimes say everything needs a cause. However, that statement is not entirely accurate. And the better statement is this: everything that begins to exist needs a cause. Isn't it? Everything that begins to exist needs a cause. For example, so I will state it in here. If you walk into the kitchen and suddenly saw a new table that had not been there before, you would naturally ask, where did this table came from? Isn't it? Who put this thing in here? So you would not believe that it appeared without a cause. Perhaps someone bought it, built it, or delivered it, because the table began to exist in that location. So there must be an explanation, right? So there must be an explanation. So the universe also appears to have a beginning. So if the universe began to exist, then it must have a cause beyond itself. Did you get that? It must have, or it must have had a cause beyond itself. So whatever caused the universe could not be dependent on the universe. It should be outside the universe. You see that? So the cause of space could not be limited by space. It should be outside the space. Okay? So the cause of time could not be controlled by time. The cause of matter could not be made of matter in the same way created objects are. Are you getting the analogy here? So, the cause would need to be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, immensely powerful, and capable of choosing to create. And these qualities closely match the biblical description of God. You see that? So, God did not begin to exist. He was there at the beginning of the existence of the world. So therefore, he does not need a creator. This is not making a special exemption for God. It is recognizing that an eternal being is different from a created being. Okay? So, we will close for now because there is a part 2 for this discussion. In the meantime, I would like to recommend these two great books in this topic. Okay, Does God Exist by R.C. Sproul, and Knowing God by J.I. Packer. So if you gonna read this book, it will widen your understanding of uh, the eternal God. So for now, we will close, and there will be Who Created God Part 2. So expect that, and I hope and pray that you are looking forward to it. God bless you.